Welcome back to Full Count, everyone. My name is Joe Barbito, and I'm your host today for the second season of Full Count. I am joined by new sportsologists Tom and Pearl. And for those of you that don't remember the rules of Full Count, it's pretty simple. I'm going to ask 5 questions, and the first person to get 3 wrong strikes out. To start off with, we're going to talk about the World Series. Who is going to be in it, and who's going to win?
Well, I think it's going to end up being an Astros-Nationals matchup for the World Series this year. I think that the Nationals have 3 amazing starting pitchers. We have Gio Gonzalez, Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and we have Bryce Harper, who's now healthy, Trey Turner. We just have all our guys ready, and I think that they have a pretty good chance of beating the Cubs and making it there.
Well, I'm actually going to take it on a different direction. I think it's going to be the New York Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think that the Yankees, despite being a wild card team, they have all the pieces lined up. They've got 2 of the best power hitters in the middle of their lineup that the American League has right now, with Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez going back-to-back. And they also have a pitching staff that, if you line up Luis Severino, Sonny Gray, Masahiro Tanaka, and CC Sabathia, that's a 4-man rotation that can really go head-to-head with anybody. I think they have as good a chance as any team to go to the World Series. And then the Arizona Diamondbacks, in all honesty, they just remind me of the Kansas City Royals team that went to the World Series a few years ago. Just a team that's going to kind of, it's not in a lot of people's minds because they're a small market, but they're going to get hot and they're going to go all the way.
I was about to award you the point until you mentioned the 2015 Kansas City Royals, and now I am personally offended, so I'm going to have to award the first ball to you. That's strike 1, Tom. Moving on to question 2. We've covered who you think is going to win the World Series. Who do you think is going to have the most, who is most likely to have a first-round exit, Tom?
I think it's the Los Angeles Dodgers, and granted, I don't have much statistical basis for this because they are probably the best team in baseball statistically, but they're also the Los Angeles Dodgers, and their playoff record speaks very much for itself. I feel like we're due for a Clayton Kershaw explosion. You just can't be that good for that long. It's going to happen at some point. For that reason, I think the Dodgers exit round 1.
Pearl.
I'm going to have to go with an American League pick. I think the Red Sox are going to be the first upset of the playoffs this year. They have some great starting pitching with Chris Sale and all, but I think without Big Papi, they just can't have a big World Series win, and without him, it's going to be hard to find somebody who has such a franchise face like Big Papi does, and without that, it's kind of hard to win and have the fans on board. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Red Sox.
All right, I see your point there about David Ortiz no longer being with the team, but you mentioned the inevitable Clayton Kershaw collapse every year in the playoffs, so that's a strike to you, Pearl. Moving on to question number 3. We are a month into the NFL season. We've had some very spicy games, and I want your hottest, spiciest take from the first month of the NFL season. Pearl, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to have to go with the Redskins-Oakland Raiders matchup last weekend. Everyone on ESPN Sports Deck was saying Raiders were going to take it. Jordan Reed said that's not true, and once again, he came back with a Twitter rant of, you guys were wrong, and Redskins won it 27-10. Kirk Cousins came through clutch using his wide receivers that are fresh and new to the Redskins, but yeah, so that was a pretty spicy game, especially because the Redskins were so facing a lot of doubt. Yep.
All right, I'm going to come way off the top rope with this one, and I'm just going to say it. The New England Patriots are no longer the best team in the AFC. I'm not ashamed to say it. Their defense has looked toothless for the first 4 weeks. They've given up less than 30 points once in the first 4 weeks. And they gave up that less than 30 points to the Texans, quarterbacked by Deshaun Watson. And they gave up 27. Still not a very good defensive performance. And then in the next, 6 weeks, they play the Buccaneers and then the Jets. And then they go on a tough stretch. They go Atlanta, they play the Chargers, and then I believe they play the Broncos. I mean, they would be lucky to come out of that stretch above 500. I don't think they are the team that they have been hyped up to be. And I think if they do not make some serious defensive changes, they're not going to be a team in the playoffs late this season.
That is quite the spicy take, and normally I would agree that such a spicy take would be worthy of giving Pearl a strike here, but because you went against the Patriots and we are in Boston, and I don't want people throwing things at me on the way out of here, I'm going to have to give you the strike, Tom. Moving on to question number 4. The National Basketball Association, home of some of the greatest basketball players in the world. A lot of storylines this season. What do we got to watch? going into this fall. Tom.
Well, my team to watch coming into this fall is actually the Houston Rockets. And I think the popular thing to think about with the NBA this year is that there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be incredibly good. But when I look at the Houston Rockets, I see the potential for a team that is very talented at the top of its roster to completely collapse. I see potential for this Rockets team, by virtue of clashing between Chris Paul and James Harden and just a sort of lack of cohesion between their offense. I see potential for them to wind up like the Lakers the year that they had Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, and Kobe Bryant, in that they just really can't work together in the right way to become a contending team. So for that reason, I think the Houston Rockets are the team to watch.
Okay. Great point, Tom. Pearl, what do you got?
I'm going to have to say that the Boston Celtics are the team to watch this season, going in to the offseason and making a big move with Kyrie, Isaiah, a whole bunch of other names in there. I just think it's going to be interesting seeing how the chemistry changes with the Celtics, and just losing somebody like Isaiah Thomas is probably going to be just a shock to fans and the team in general. So we'll just see how it plays out for them in the regular season.
And both of you do mention an important topic, which is chemistry, which I know nothing about as a business major. But I do know Mr. Kyrie Irving is a scientist himself, proving that the earth is flat. I'm going to have to give the strike here, Tom.
So true.
We're on to the last pitch. This one's for all the marbles, the entire bag of potatoes. For bragging rights, until we make another one of these episodes. What is question 5? What sports tradition needs to die? Pearl!
You know, I'm going to have to say, Philly fanatic, just stop. With all these obnoxious, I don't know, running around, messing with broadcasters, like on-field reporters, it's just getting old, and just be a mascot. Just pump up the crowd. You don't need to rile up the other teams, media. It's just offensive and rude to the practice in general, so I just think the fanatic just needs to go.
Tom.
Well, I'm going to say that touchdown celebrations need to die. I do not watch football to see dancing. I watch it to see hard-hitting action, and I watch it to see players hand the ball to the ref and walk back to the sideline with their team. So I think that touchdown celebrations have got to go. Those new rules that made touchdown celebrations easier, I don't like them. Don't like them one bit. They got to go.
Incredible. Do you like them in a box with a fox?
I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox.
This is amazing. I don't even know where to begin with these two incredibly spicy things. Philly Fanatic, of course, one of the most beloved mascots of all time, and touchdown celebrations, the point of much ire of people within and with outside the NFL, and whether or not they should be as grandiose as they are. This is a difficult decision for me to have to make. And as such, I've decided the final strike will go to Pearl. Tom, you're the winner! Congratulations on your first full count win. How does it feel?
Feels great. I'm just going to do a nice handshake at the end of this episode. No sort of celebrations will come from me. And then I'm going to walk off camera respectfully. Thank you.
Sounds great, Tom. This has been Full Count. I've been Joe. That's been Tom. That's been Pearl. We've had a great time here today. Stay tuned for more episodes of Full Count. And as always, stay classy, sports.